A warm welcome to all students for 6th session of Physics Bridge course. Today let us discuss some more problems related to one-dimensional motion. First one is it possible that the distance traveled by the body is zero but displacement is non-zero? As we discussed in the last class, the distance covered by the body in any non-linear, that is non-straight line path, is always greater than the displacement. However, in the case of any linear motion, the distance covered by the body is equal to displacement. Therefore, we can conclude that either in a linear or non-linear case, distance traveled by the body cannot become zero, with the displacement is non-zero. Next problem. A hall has a dimension of 10 meter by 10 meter by 10 meter. A mouse starting at one corner and ends up at a diagonally opposite corner. What is the magnitude of its displacement? In the given problem, the mouse is in the room of dimension 10 meter by 10 meter by 10 meter. That is, the length of the room is 10 meter, breadth of the room is 10 meter, and height of the room is again 10 meter. Let us construct a room which is having the dimension 10 meter by 10 meter by 10 meter. Let the mouse is at a corner A of the room. Finally, ends up at the diagonally opposite corner, means it finally reaches the point B. Then, in the given question, the displacement is asked. The length of the diagonal of the cube is given by the standard formula root 3 into the length of side of the cube. Here, the length of the side of the cube is 10 meter. Therefore, the displacement that caused by the mouse, that is equal to length of AB in the figure. Therefore, the displacement caused by the mouse is equal to root 3 into 10 meters. Next example, a stone is thrown vertically up with a speed of 20 meter per second. What is the maximum height attained by the stone? After what time will it strike the ground? Make a quick note of this problem. According to the problem, a stone is thrown vertically upwards with a speed of 20 meter per second. At the time of throwing, it has so much of velocity, that is the initial velocity. What is the maximum height attained? Here, that is displacement S is equal to H, that is equal to question mark. And after what time it will strike the ground? That is T is equal to question mark. Here in this problem, they have not given the value of G. Usually, they should give the value of G. If not, you can assume it to be either 9.8 meter per second square or 10 meter per second square. So let us write down the given data. Try to imagine the diagram to understand what the data given in the problem. An object is thrown vertically upwards. As it is moving upwards, the gravity is going to act in the downward direction. Hence, you need to replace A, that is acceleration due to gravity, with minus G. As it goes to a particular height, the velocity of the object becomes 0. Therefore, it stops at that point. This means final velocity V is equal to 0. Now, we use the formula V square is equal to U square plus 2AS. By substituting the initial velocity, U is equal to 20 meter per second, final velocity V is equal to 0 meter per second, and replacing the uniform acceleration A is equal to minus G, that is equal to minus 10 meter per second square, and replace s by the maximum height h. We get 0 square is equal to 20 square plus 2 into minus 10 into h. Therefore, h is equal to 20 meters. Therefore, the stone will reach the maximum height of 20 meters. We got the first part. After what time will it strike the ground? For this second part, I will consider the ground is here and I will throw the body with the initial velocity u, that is 20 meter per second. It will go up, reach the maximum height, take a turn and come back and fall on the earth. During the entire journey, the time taken is equal to t seconds. If the body comes back to the same position, displacement will be equal to 0. Therefore, I choose the formula s equal to ut plus half at square and substitute the displacement s equal to 0 in this case, and initial velocity u is equal to 20 meter per second, because at the starting the body goes against the gravity. S equal to ut plus half at square. We will get 0 is equal to 20 into t plus half into minus 10 into t square. Rearranging this term, we will get 20t is equal to half into 10 into t square. Therefore, t is equal to 4 seconds. There is another way to solve this problem. Use the equation v is equal to u plus at. When a body reaches a maximum height, at that point, the final velocity v is equal to 0. And the initial velocity of the body, that is u is equal to 20 meter per second. Therefore, by substituting the value of final velocity v, initial velocity u, and the uniform acceleration a is equal to minus g, because the body moves against the gravity when it is going from ground to a maximum height. At that time, we will get 0 is equal to 20 minus 10 into t. Therefore, t is equal to 2 seconds. Here, the time t is the time taken to move from ground to a maximum height. When the body is moving under the influence of gravity, time taken to move up is equal to time taken to come down. Therefore, 2t is the total time taken for going up and coming back down. Therefore, total time taken is 2 seconds plus 2 seconds, that is 4 seconds. You can solve this problem by this method also. Example 4. A kangaroo is capable of jumping to a height of 2.62 meter. Determine the takeoff speed of the kangaroo. If the ground is here and kangaroo will take off and reach a maximum height, that is 2.6 meter. At this height, the velocity of the kangaroo becomes equal to 0. Here, you need to find the takeoff velocity. That is nothing but the initial velocity. So, according to the given data, the final velocity v is equal to 0 meter per second. The maximum height is the displacement s is equal to h, that is equal to 2.62 meters. Because the body moves up against the gravity, therefore I take the value of uniform acceleration a is equal to minus g. Now to find the initial velocity, I use the relation v square is equal to u square plus 2as. By substituting the value of final velocity v equal to 0, displacement s equal to h, that is 2.62 meter, and uniform acceleration a is equal to minus g, that is equal to minus 9.8 meter per second square. Then I will get 0 square is equal to u square plus 2 into minus 9.8 into 2.62. Shifting the terms on the other side, negative term becomes positive, that is u square is equal to 2 into 9.8 into 2.62. Therefore, you are getting the value of u square as 51.352. By taking the square root, you will get u as approximately 7.17 meter per second. I hope the problem is clear to all of you. We will move to the next example. A stone is dropped into a deep well and is heard to hit the water 3.41 seconds after being dropped. Determine the depth of the well. In the problem, stone is dropped means its initial velocity is equal to 0. When it strikes the ground, sound is produced, and the sound is heard after a time equal to 3.41 seconds. That is, here t is equal to 3.41 seconds. You need to find what is the depth of the well, that is S. Here, the given data, the initial velocity u is equal to 0 meter per second. The uniform acceleration a is equal to plus g because it moves in the influence of gravity. We will take its value as plus 9.8 meter per second square. Here t is 3.41 seconds. You need to find the value of the displacement, that is equal to the height of the well. In this case, when the sound is produced after the stone strikes the water. Here, the sound will also take some time to come back. Since the speed of the sound is very much larger than the speed of the stone, hence the time taken by the sound to travel to reach is considered to be negligible in this problem. Therefore, we keep that concept away and take the entire time for the journey of the stone alone. By substituting this value in the equation, that is s equal to ut plus half at square, s is equal to 0 into t plus half into 9.8 into 3.14 the whole square. On simplifying by using the calculator, you are getting the value of s is approximately equal to 57 meters. I hope you understood how to capture the data from the given problem and substitute and simplifying the formula. Now let us discuss some of the terminologies that is related to oscillations. In our daily life, we come across various types of motions. Some of them are repetitive and some of them are non-repetitive. Non-repetitive motion. The motion which does not repeat itself in a time is called non-repetitive motion. For example, a rectilinear motion. A rectilinear motion is the motion in which the body moves along a straight line in a specific direction and it will not repeat its path. One more example for non-repetitive motion is a projectile motion. That is, a body moves in a parabolic path. For example, if we throw a ball, at the time it covers a parabolic path. Repetitive motion or a periodic motion. The motion which repeats at a regular interval of time is called repetitive motion or a periodic motion. The example for repetitive motion is the motion of a pendulum in a wall clock, in which the pendulum of the wall clock repeats its motion in a regular interval of the time. One more example for the repetitive motion is motion of planets in a solar system, in which the planets are repeats its motion in a regular interval of the time. The types of periodic motion. There are two types of periodic motion. First one is rotatory motion, another is oscillatory motion. Example for the rotatory motion is motion of the blades in a fan. The blades of the fan repeats its motion in a particular time interval. One more example for rotatory motion is motion of giant wheel. Now let us consider some examples for oscillatory motion. First one is the motion of pendulum in a wall clock is an example for oscillatory motion. Motion of a swinging swing. One more example for oscillatory motion is a motion of a boat tossing up and down in a river. Simple pendulum is one example for oscillatory motion. Now let us discuss what is simple pendulum. A simple pendulum is an arrangement which consists of a metal bob suspended by a light inextensible string from a fixed point. Now let us discuss some of the terminologies that is related to a simple pendulum which we are regularly use in a oscillatory motion. First one is length of a simple pendulum. The length of simple pendulum is the distance from the point of suspension to the center of the bob. Next one is the mean position. The restoring position of the pendulum is known as mean position. The one complete to and fro movement of the pendulum about its mean position is known as one oscillation or one vibration. That is the movement of the bob from B to A, then A to C, and again from C to B is called one oscillation or one vibration. Next terminology is the amplitude of vibration or an oscillation. The maximum displacement of the pendulum from its mean position is called amplitude of vibration or amplitude of an oscillation. Here we can see that the maximum displacement in left hand side is equal to maximum displacement on right hand side from its mean position. That is the displacement PA is equal to the displacement PC. The time taken by the bob to complete one oscillation is known as time period. That is the time taken by the bob to move from B to A to C, and then again from C to B. The time period of oscillation is represented by the capital letter T, and it is measured in terms of seconds. Let's move to next terminology, that is frequency of oscillation. Frequency of oscillatory motion is defined as the number of oscillation that completes in 1 second. The frequency of oscillatory motion is represented by the small letter f, and it is measured in hertz. The unit hertz is given in honor of the name of scientist Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. Here, if the frequency of oscillation is 1 hertz, it means the one complete oscillation in 1 second. That is, the bob covers one complete to and fro motion about its mean position in 1 second. The frequency of oscillatory motion, that is small f, is related to the period of oscillation, that is t, by the relation f is equal to 1 over t. That is frequency is equal to 1 over time period. Here is one problem in which the period of oscillatory motion is given as 2 seconds and asked to find frequency of its oscillation. We know the relationship between period and frequency of oscillation as frequency is equal to 1 over time period. In this case, the time period t is equal to 2 seconds. That is equal to 1 divided by 2 hertz. Therefore, the frequency is equal to half hertz. This means the half oscillation is completed in 1 second. Let's once recall all the concepts we discussed today. At first, we discussed some problems related to one-dimensional motion. Then, we discussed some terminologies used in oscillatory motion such as length of simple pendulum, displacement, amplitude, period, and frequency of oscillation. Hope you got all these concepts. Thank you. Have a great day.